Warning, books discussed on this podcast may contain violence, sexual content, or other sensitive topics. Hello and welcome to the Between the Lines podcast. My name is Janine. I'm a library clerk at the South Central Regional Library, Winkler Branch.
And I'm Jess. I'm the branch administrator of the Winkler Library.
This is a podcast where we discuss books.
The things we love, the things we hate, the things that drive us crazy. What we do is read the first half of the book. We discuss the front cover, because we all judge books by their covers. Our impressions of the first half of the book, and then for the second part, we can discuss our final impressions. We thought that this would be an interesting way of doing a podcast, because my impressions of the book halfway through and my impressions of the book at the end are always quite different. Sometimes it's relief at being done, sometimes it's a shame that the book is over. So with that, here is this week's book.
Alright, so today's book is Twisted Tea Christmas by Laura Childs, and it's the 23rd book in the Tea Shop Mystery series, which is a cozy mystery series. Tea maven Theodosia Browning and her tea sommelier, Drayton Connolly, are catering a Victorian Christmas party at a swanky mansion in downtown Charleston. Drusilla Hayward, the hostess, is one of the wealthiest women in town. As the champagne flows and the tea steeps, Drusilla is so pleased with the reception by her partygoers that she reveals her secret plan to Theodosia. The Grand Dame has brought the cream of Charleston society together to reveal that she is planning to give her wealth away to various charitable organizations. However, before she can make the announcement, Theodosia finds her crumpled, unconscious in the hallway. It looks like the excitement has gotten to the elderly woman, except that there is a syringe sticking out of her neck. So,
For the record, there's going to be spoilers. Just heads up.
I think that we should start by saying we've mostly agreed on books. You haven't told me too much, it's just that you've had thoughts, but I feel like this is the one that we're going to disagree on the most so far.
Know.
But I know you have thoughts. I have thoughts too. I have read this entire series.
I have not.
This is your first one, right, from the series?
We did it because it's Christmas and we needed to read a Christmas book. So we read a Christmas book. Janine made me do it.
I think a cozy mystery was your idea.
Oh, probably.
And of the cozy mysteries that I read, there are a few cozy mystery series that I like. I figured this one would be better than some of the others. I enjoy cozy mysteries, but I do have some feelings about them also. They're not perfect.
No.
But for me, they're just comforting and, not comforting. You're giving me a look. You're making fun of me already. I knew this.
Murdered at a party. How is that comforting?
It's not comforting in a way that you know what to expect.
Yeah.
And you know it's not going to be gory. There's usually not a lot of language or they're pretty safe.
Yeah,
books
they're pretty. You could read them with your grandma and nobody'd be offended.
And they're you know what to expect. The characters are the same every time. There's usually a theme, right? So this one is a tea shop. Some of them are bakeries or I don't know. There's lots of different.
I will say the one thing I enjoy the most about cozy mysteries is the titles.
And there's the ones that involve cooking usually have recipes in them, which this one does at the end.
Yes, one of the things that I found interesting was the disclaimer, the publisher's note at the beginning, saying the recipes contained in this book are to be followed exactly as written. The publisher is not responsible for your specific health or allergy needs that may require medical supervision. The publisher is not responsible for any adverse reaction to the recipes contained in this book.
Oh man, I don't know if I've ever read that.
I found interesting.
There's obviously been some issues in the past.
That's one of those, it's like a sign where you go, there's a lawsuit behind that.
Yes. That's like those warnings you see, don't use your hairdryer while you're in the tub or something. Because obviously somebody did that at one point, or else they wouldn't have to put that on there because common sense.
Yeah.
So anyway, so let's hear it. What do you have to say? Let it out. I can see that you're...
Don't like the main character.
Okay.
Honestly, right now, she's striking me as a bit of a sociopath.
Oh boy.
I'm sorry. I don't want to tear your book apart.
That's fine. Because I will also say the main characters in these books are usually very nosy. And that bothers me. I get why it has to be that way for the story, but I'm like, mind your own business.
That's the thing that I think I'm having trouble with. I don't like people poking their nose into my business, and I don't like poking my nose into other people's business. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of, my brain's going, why would you do that? Just why?
Yeah.
Like,
yep.
You're apparently so busy running your tea shop. Why are you doing this?
Yes. And yeah, I agree with you. I'm probably going to say a lot of negative things, but I cannot stop like reading these books. They're just, I don't know what it is. There's a series, another cozy mystery series that I read that is even worse than them. Mm-hmm. Those books are horrible. There's so many inconsistencies in them with the writing. Like they're not even edited. And like,
oh my word.
In one scene she's going down the elevator, in the next scene she's going back up the elevator, or like, I don't know. Like she's off the elevator, but then she's back on the elevator, and I don't know. There's just lots of inconsistencies.
Sounds like that book has a lot of ups and downs.
Oh, Jess.
I couldn't help myself.
Anyways, I have a lot of negative feelings about these books. Even as I was reading this last night, I was like, seriously?
It could be because it's a Christmas one, and as a result, the Christmas books sometimes tend to go a little bit too, we still need to make it cheery, despite the fact it's murder. So,
no, that's really not it.
Yeah.
Because these books all follow a similar format.
Okay. Never mind. I haven't read the rest of them, so we're just assuming that she's as callous and disheartening as every first time the words are working today.
But the thing is that people don't seem to mind that she, like, or I don't know, like, she just makes friends with everybody.
Everybody seems to like her, and I don't understand why. Like, so far, my favorite character is the baker and the crabby, like, cowboy painter dude.
Smokey?
Yeah, because he minds his own business. Like,
I do like the baker. I don't like Delaney. That character bugs me.
Delaney.
She's the one who took her to the ballet.
Right, yes.
Her character is always very annoying, pushy, and...
Is she the one that also is the pet rescue person? Because I was getting confused between Delaney and somebody else. Daphne? It's not Scooby-Doo.
This is not Scooby-Doo. Delaney owns a clothing shop.
Okay.
And she is, for lack of a better word, frenemies with Theodosia. Well, like, they're friends, but they're not friends.
That's the thing that was kind of getting me a bit, was... It's like, oh, my BFF. But then they treated each other like crap.
Yeah.
They're both kind of like, fine, I'll go to the ballet with you if I have to.
Yes.
So...
Yeah. It's,
It was a really weird dynamic where I'm like, you're friends? Really?
Their relationship is weird.
Am I supposed to believe this? Do you have, like, those heart lockets or something?
Probably they do.
It's the only proof there is. But
I think what I like about this series is the setting. Like, you know, Old Town, Charleston, the history, all of that
Deep
stuff.
Deep South.
Yeah.
The Southern Belle characters.
Yeah. I think what draws me to these books also is that the characters have a community with each other. Mm-hmm. You know, like, they always have their group of friends or family or whatever it is that they, you know, they're comfortable with. They spend their time with them. They have this community. And I think that's appealing to me for some reason.
I could see that.
I'm not quite sure what it is about it, but it's just, like, sometimes I'm like, oh, I wish I could be there. I want to work in that tea shop. I don't want to...
Really?
Yes. I want to go there. I want to see it. I know it doesn't exist, but...
That tea shop sounds like a fresh version of hell to me.
But why?
I mean, granted, it's a tea shop, so there's a certain amount of uppityness that is required. But it seems like a slightly toxic work atmosphere.
Okay.
Because Drayton and Holly, is it? The cook? Haley. Right. I was close.
Yes.
Don't seem to like each other very much.
Oh, they do. That's just how they like, bicker.
It could be that I'm coming in on book 23 of a series and thus missing a lot of the setup. But I don't know.
No, they do like each other. That's just the dynamic of their relationship, is that they bicker.
The atmosphere is not my cup of tea.
Oh, you're just full of them today.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's it's a cozy feeling, right? And obviously you don't...
The town sounds interesting. It's the particular tea shop. And to be fair, it might just be my issues with Theodosia. Also, the name Theodosia.
The name is... Yeah.
It is interesting. It is interesting. That is kind of making me go, no.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Also, one of the things I found with this book is my word, stop throwing in the $10 words. This one woman had a zaftig figure.
Yes. Who even knows what that means? Do you know what that means?
I do not know what that means.
Me
I
neither.
debated looking it up and went, I don't care enough about this book to look it up. And plus it was 1 o'clock in the morning.
I know. I was reading it, and then I was on my phone looking up, because they had a Nutcracker tea, so I was looking up tickets to the Nutcracker at the Winnipeg Ballet. And my daughter walks in, and she was like, oh, are you Googling a word in the book? And I was like, no. And she was like, you can have my Booktionary. She has a bookmark that's like a dictionary.
Oh, cool.
So you can like look up words, and it just goes in your book like a bookmark. Anyway, she's like, you can have it. I'm like, I'm not looking up a word. Although I probably could have been like 5 times while I was reading it.
That's the thing. She puts in words that are unnecessary.
Yes.
And like, this is in the description part. It's not in the, like, it's not a character being quirky.
No.
It's not in dialogue.
No.
It's just in the description. And you kind of read it and you go, oh, hold on, what did you just say? And it just takes you out of the book a bit.
Mm-hmm. There's also a lot of unnecessary detail in this book.
Yes. Like, I'm sorry, but I don't need to hear about you redecorating your shop every time there's a different themed tea.
Yes.
But, oh my word. She had a different themed tea every single day of the week, where it required redecorating and a 16-foot pine tree.
Mm-hmm. And somehow they managed to serve the morning tea, the morning tea rush, get everybody out, decorate in time for lunch. How does that work?
It doesn't.
Tell me how. Tell me how they do it.
I swear this woman has some kind of time machine, because
Maybe.
that's the thing, where I was trying to figure out with their first tea before I stopped caring. What the timeline was. Mm-hmm. Because it didn't sound like she got there like 6 in the morning or anything.
No.
But she was putting out all the stuff and redecorating, and then, we have to do this for the White Wonderland tea again tomorrow. And I'm going,
Yeah.
what?
They have a special... It's not always that they have special teas every day.
Yeah, I assume that it's because it's Christmas.
But yes, the decorating and the redecorating.
And the redecorating.
Yeah.
Like,
and then they're setting
plus
everything with
while
China
being
and
open for regular
Yes.
service. That's the thing where I'm going, have you ever worked in a restaurant? And the fact that Haley is, apparently I just got Holly on the brain, redoes this menu and is doing all of this fancy stuff by herself.
Yeah.
And baking all the scones, all the muffins, all of the lunch things, all those
Soups
little
and sandwiches.
soups and finger sandwiches and that kind of thing, by herself.
You know.
Every day.
Like, I wonder how big the shop actually is. I don't think it ever says.
It doesn't say.
But
my inclination seems to be about 20 to 30 people's a full service. Oh, like our full tabletop. But this kind of pastries, this kind of baking, takes time.
Yeah.
Like, from the amount of stuff that Holly's apparently doing, that means Holly is there at
Haley.
like 3 or... We are rechristening her Holly. Haley, sorry. It's at Christmas. It means that she's there at like 3 or 4 in the morning every single day.
Well, she does live right above it, so...
I don't care if I live right above the library. I'm not here at 3 or 4 in the morning every single day.
Come on, Jess.
Plus, she has a cat.
Lots of things to do at 3 in the morning here.
There's never something that doesn't need to be. The day I run out of work is the day that I retire and move to Hawaii.
Ooh, take me with you.
Do you have objections to the coming winter, Janine?
Yes and no.
For the record, we're recording this in October because we record fairly far ahead. So we may have had multiple storms or something by the time
Yeah.
this actually comes out. September.
It's not quite
Now a
October.
good time to mention I can't keep track of
It's
where I am.
not quite October, almost.
It's almost October.
Anyway, also details about what people are wearing.
Yeah, which is unnecessary.
That's totally unnecessary. This book could be like half as long if you took all of that out, I feel like.
Yeah.
And the dog. Her dog always talks.
Oh,
To
that
her.
drove me crazy.
Quote unquote
It's like-
talks.
And Earl Grey came in and went, rawr. And it's like, we don't need to do that. You can put in
Yeah.
barked.
Yes.
Also, that poor dog. Oh, okay. Pet peeve.
Mm-hmm.
Has this woman ever owned a dog? The
Yeah.
author.
Oh, I don't know. I can't tell you that.
Because there's a point in which Theodosia thinks that a rescue dog is so lucky because it's surrounded by antiques, handcrafted furniture, and a carefully curated library. Do you want dogs don't care about?
Any of those things.
Any of those things. Their handcrafted furniture, if they care about that, it's probably because they wanted to chew on it.
Yes.
That rescue dog is not lucky because there's a carefully curated library, unless it is the smartest rescue dog ever.
Yeah, that's true. Ducks
Do you
can't
know what
read.
I'd probably rather have? A pet duck in an open field. Like,
That is true. I
It's-
never really thought about that, but one thing about cozy mysteries is there seems to always be a pet.
I think that's a requirement.
I don't know why. I'm not an animal person. For me, you can leave the pets out.
I am very much an
Just-
animal person, but I think in this one you should have left the pet out, because I was feeling bad for the pet, because she was, like, never home.
No, that's also true. She is not. But she does take him for a run every night after dark. And
So
somebody...
far she's only taken him for one run.
I thought two.
She let him out in the backyard.
Oh, maybe that was the other thing. Either way, they go out. Somebody inevitably follows them. Seems like every time. And I'm like, lady, stop going out after dark. Have you not learned your lesson from the past 22 books?
I can neither confirm nor deny that, but I would assume probably.
Well, obviously. Yeah. No, I know. These books they're clearly not well written.
No.
Like, they're not going to go down in history as like, oh, you really need to read that, or like...
They're never going to hit the classic section.
They're not award winners. They're not like popular or whatever.
They're for when you want something fluffy where you don't have to think too much.
You don't have
and
to
avoid
think.
the $10 words.
You really don't have to think about it. It's like, but it's the cozy feeling, the community, the friendships, you're making a face.
Sorry, I just think.
I know, but there's just something about them for me that's like, like, I don't know. When I read them, I don't know why, because half the time
To each their own.
I'm reading them, I'm like, this is stupid. I hate this. What is going on here? What is she doing? What are they talking about? And yet I read them.
And yet you keep going.
I keep going
Yeah.
every time. So
What did you think of the plots of the book and whatnot? Because I have thoughts on that.
plot wise, like, I feel like it's moving along at an okay pace.
Mm-hmm.
Aside from the extraneous details of clothing and talking dogs.
Mm-hmm. I will say the amount of food that's described was making me kind of hungry.
I think that's the other thing I like. So usually I pick ones that are about like food.
Mm-hmm.
And so then they talk about the food and what they're eating, and I think that's another one of the appeals for me.
Yeah. I kind of want to go home and make muffins now.
Yeah, I know.
I have thoughts.
Okay, tell me your thoughts. I want to hear.
What the heck is up with that detective?
Tidwell?
Tidwell, yes.
Like the gruff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's an odd character.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Most of these books, given the fact this is volume 23, there's a murder, or... Is it a murder every time?
Every
is there
time.
some robberies?
No.
Okay. He assumes that the main character did not commit the murder and was free of any suspicion or crime, and is freely telling her facts of the case, despite the fact this woman has been around 23 murders and has poked her nose into all of them.
I know.
Like, I really, really want there to be, like, a cozy mystery series where, like, the last book in the series is twist and she's a serial killer and she'd done it all. That would be brilliant.
That's a good idea.
But, like, he's just, oh, well, of course it's not. And he's telling active details of an active crime case, active murder, to a random civilian. I don't care how helpful that civilian is. That is so against protocol.
That's a usual thing for these types of books.
Yeah.
There's always like a detective or police officer or whatever, and usually, well, in the ones that I've read, it's usually somebody that they know, or are in a relationship with, or whatever.
Which brings me to Riley, her boyfriend. Also, boyfriend du jour, excellent term, love it.
Yeah, she's had a few boyfriends throughout the series.
It honestly feels like she's only dating him so that she can coerce him into using his police databases to find her information and poke her nose into more people's business that she shouldn't be poking her nose into.
And for some reason, they just always do it for her.
Yeah, never mind the
You
fact
know.
that it's illegal and would
I
get
know.
them fired and...
Yes. No, I know. And the thing about these types of books, too, is, like, how is it the same person always coming across murders?
Yeah, like, that's
You know?
the thing, where I want there to be a book at the end going, yeah, it was her the entire time.
There's one series that I've read where the character talks about her sladar, because she always
that is
finding...
cringy.
Yeah. No, that is.
And plus now I've just got, like, RuPaul drag queen, like, oh, girls, later.
Okay. Yes.
That's the first thing that comes to mind.
But yes,
that may have something to do with the podcast I was listening to this morning.
But like that gives you a sense of like they are aware that they're finding all of these dead people, and how is this always happening?
Hope so.
Yeah. Why does this always happen? Every time I go somewhere, somebody ends up dead.
Maybe you're in a fugue state and are a serial killer and don't know it. Excellent plot.
Yes. I really think you should write a cozy mystery series in it.
I don't think I could without being way too sarcastic. But,
although, to be fair, these are New York Times best-selling books, so there is that. There's clearly something about them that people like, because people read them.
See, the thing is, I tend towards darker.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm gonna read, like, a paperback book, like a mass-market paperback, I'll tend towards the thriller aspect of it. Like, give me a good gun-running biker gang any day, versus tea and Southern Bells, unless the Southern Bells are also running guns.
No.
That would be excellent.
No
one would suspect them.
Your personality is much too cynical for this type of book, I feel like. And that's okay. Like we've often said, every book is not for every person, right?
No, that's the thing.
So far, we've mostly agreed.
I don't mind cheesy, but this is pushing it. Like, this is really pushing it for me. But it doesn't help also. I've been watching a police show, and it's quite... it goes into procedures and policies and stuff like that. And I keep thinking of all the ones that they're breaking. So it could just be a timing thing for me, honestly. But
yeah.
Who do you think has done it of all of the...
I'm not going to answer.
Okay. Have you read it before?
I've read this one before.
Janine.
I know.
You've betrayed my trust.
I thought I told you that I read that already.
Oh, you probably have.
When I started reading, like before I started reading it again, I was like, I have no idea who did it, but I'm pretty sure now I know. So what are your thoughts? Do you have a guess?
I've got a couple of guesses.
Okay.
But may I just say, the main character, Theodosia, assumes that the personal assistant of the old dead woman is innocent because she was crying.
Yes.
I'm sorry, how has she solved 22 of these cases?
It takes her a bit sometimes.
If a little bit of tears is all it takes to throw her off, like, come on.
Yes.
Like, you ever consider she's crying because she didn't get away with more paintings?
Yes, it's possible.
Yeah. Also, I've got a bone to pick. Why are they picking on Smokey? Just because he's the handyman and they think that he's slow, although there's no indication that he has any kind of learning difficulties or anything else, but he just keeps to himself, so now they're going, oh, it must be the handyman. It's not the handyman. He's too obvious. You're being mean to him. Stop it.
Because he appears sketchy.
Whoop-de-ding. I know plenty of sketchy people. I don't assume that they've murdered anyone. And plus, seriously, it's 5 gold rings and a Renoir.
Renoir?
Renoir. I can't say Renoir. It's 5 gold rings and a Renoir.
Yeah.
Where's a handyman going to fence a Renoir? Like, you need to know dealers. You need to be able to get it.
Well, he is an artist, though.
I'm an artist. I don't know how to sell the painting on the black market.
Well, because of his criminal past, maybe he knows.
He stole 1 car.
Maybe he met somebody. He was on the...
Unlikely.
You never know, Jess. I'm gonna come up with an argument for everything.
And I'll come up with a dad joke for everything.
Okay.
It'll be a brilliant podcast. Like, it just irks me that they're going, well, it couldn't possibly be the bank. Or the guy who's on the board of multiple art galleries.
Oh, no.
No, because he's an upstanding citizen. But this slightly sketchy-looking handyman, it must be him.
Whoa.
And they show up to his house and they ask him, like, 2 questions. Like,
okay.
Were you there? No.
Okay, you're
Where
fine.
were you? Here. Oh, you have an alibi. Okay. And then they leave.
Well.
But then she won't keep she won't just leave it. She keeps harping on, well, maybe it was him, maybe it was him. He already established his alibi.
Yeah.
Like.
And then she goes and breaks into his apartment.
Yes.
Snoops around.
Which also, seriously? Like, this woman harasses people.
They're so snoopy.
Pokes her nose in where they don't belong. Breaks and enters. Currently, she's committed more crimes than anybody else in this book. Like.
Yes. Yes, that is true.
Also, Pauline. Did they hire her as a personal assistant to some kind of charity case? Because she is the most useless personal assistant I've ever heard of.
She is a little dumb.
Like,
yeah.
Where's the guest list? Oh, I don't... Who was all there? I don't know. Where's her personal papers? I don't know. What do you do as a personal assistant? Like, I can understand why you wouldn't necessarily know where the will and everything are, because that is kind of under the purview of lawyers. But this 80-year-old woman just threw a massive party. You're her personal assistant. If you're not assisting with that, then what are you assisting?
Her person.
She ties her shoes for her?
Maybe she helps her get dressed. Maybe she's like a lady's maid.
No. I highly doubt that is the case.
You are hating this book.
I'm hating the characters. Like,
ergo, you hate the book.
But, like, this character is aggravating me so much. Because she's just, like, I don't know what's going on. I couldn't possibly, I have to pack up her stuff, and, I don't know. And then, if anybody pushes her or anything like that, she starts crying.
Yeah.
Like, and she also seems to be the only one in this book that's actually upset by this old woman dying.
Yeah,
to be fair, like, Theodosia and
Drayton
see her die at the crime scene, and they're like, oh, yeah, no, she died. Interesting, eh?
Well, to be fair, this is their 23rd murder. So, I mean...
You get a little bit bored after that. But, like, there's no kind of emotional response, thus the psychopathy diagnosis. But it's...
Yeah.
I don't know.
I do see what you're saying, and like I say, there are things about these books that are annoying to me too. Mm-hmm. But it's just something like, I think about it like on a rainy day, and like you want to sit by the fire with your book and your tea or coffee or whatever, and like just read something that's not too serious or horrifying or whatever, like,
Yeah, it's very much a, you don't have to think.
Yeah. And like...
And to be fair, I'm overthinking it, and
yes,
I get into books, like...
And I
get invested, and it's not always a good thing.
I like mystery, but I read a lot of thrillers. Mm-hmm. And so this is a nice departure from that it's not so, like, intense.
See, that's the thing, like, I read a little bit of everything. Mm-hmm. So if I read mainly thrillers or mainly true crime, I can see how this would be, like, nice, like, fluffy, and a detox, essentially.
Well, like, it's a fluffier version of what I like to read most, right?
Yeah.
I read a lot of other things, too. It's not... I don't only read thrillers or true crime, but this is, like... It's just a nice, like...
Nothing too serious, despite the murder.
Yeah. And you can probably read a book in a weekend, you know, or a day, if you are doing nothing else.
A day, easily.
Yeah.
It's not a deep book. But...
Well, for you, a day easily. For me, when your child is interrupting you every 10 minutes. But, Mom, just one more thing, Mom. Just one more thing, Mom. I forgot to tell you this, Mom. Do
your children listen to this podcast?
No, they will not.
Oh, good.
It's okay. They know how I feel about them. I mean that in a good way.
Yeah, I know. What's up with Paulina's boyfriend?
Oh, that guy is sketch.
That guy's dodgy.
Yep.
He's helping her pack up.
Yes.
A rich old woman's house.
But unfortunately, I can't take time off from my job to help her do this.
No.
Like,
Where are the lawyers?
Yeah, and why would you even think that you would need to take time off your job to help your girlfriend do her job?
Yeah.
Like, that to me was an odd thing to say.
He's on a high up on the list of very, very suspicious people. Like, that and the whole, we think there's someone staying in her condo. Here, you random woman, go check it out. Yes. That is what the police are for.
Yes. That, too, to me was like, seriously? And then they get there, and it's...
The nephew.
Drusilla's nephew.
Who has a key.
Yeah.
This is very sarcastic, I don't like him.
Yeah.
No, I kicked in the basement window.
And then it's like, okay, fine, he wasn't involved. He has a key. He's okay.
Yeah. It's
like, how do they know it wasn't him?
But that is the second breaking and entering, so... No, it's... I have problems with this book in many various ways. It's not that I don't like it. It's just that I get invested in mysteries. I take them quite seriously. And, like, she talked to the detective once. Mm-hmm. She goes poking her nose in, possibly scaring off people that the police could have questioned and actually gotten some evidence from. Doesn't update the cops on what she's doing at all, despite the fact she's helping.
Yeah. And
commits her own crimes.
You've just pretty much outlined the basic premise of all cozy mysteries. But... yeah. It's like the detective doesn't like her doing it, and yet he tells her things.
Yeah.
And I'm like, buddy, if you want her to stop doing this, stop including her.
Exactly. Stop telling her anything.
Yeah, especially because it's probably confidential what you're telling her.
Yeah, highly confidential. You're telling your coroner report information. Like,
exactly.
What the heck?
Exactly.
So.
Yeah, I do take issue with some of that and the nosiness poking your... But again, you don't have a story without a nosy person. Usually a woman. I don't know if I've ever read a cozy mystery that featured a man as the main character.
They mind their own business. They're just like, somebody died. Okay, I'm sure they'll be dealing with. Bye.
Although I guess there is Drayton here.
Yeah, but he seems to be more dragged along as backup than anything else.
He protests and then he goes along with it. Every time.
Well, someone needs to keep her from murdering anybody else. So, at this point, my conclusion
You're
is she did
convinced
it.
that she's the murderer.
Well, put it this way. If Smokey is the murderer, I'm going to be very disappointed. Like...
Okay. So, like, if you could pick one person or a whatever, do you have, like... Have you singled somebody out that you think is?
Currently, Wade is the top of the list.
The boyfriend?
Yep.
Okay.
Mainly because it is something that's happened multiple times before, where it's, the boyfriend pressures the girlfriend who works for the rich person, get him on the inside. And, oh, well, how are they paying you so little when we could just take a painting and make money and go to Brazil and be happy? That kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
The museum board member dude.
Bragg,
yes. Is sketchy, but I think he's sketchy for a different reason.
I think he's just pompous.
I think he's pompous. He's also too obvious. I wouldn't be surprised if him and Smokey were an counterfeit operation. I think that would be interesting, because why is Smokey living in his guest room? Seems no reason at all. But the guy on the board that helps procure paintings and stuff like that also has a really talented painter living in his garage. I hope there's a counterfeit ring. It'd be very interesting.
I think on that front, there's too much other stuff going on in this book for that to also be.
Yeah, we need to hear about the decorating of the tea room for the 15th time, rather than
every day
adding a lovely subplot about a counterfeit ring.
Yeah, no, the subplot is the decorating.
Can we decorate counterfeit bills? Counterfeit paintings?
I don't think it goes along with the theme.
Counterfeit Santa Claus paintings?
Counterfeit presents.
Who's the other guy? Sawyer?
Sawyer. That's the one who does the charity. What's the best way to describe that?
Charity evaluations?
Yeah. He kind of like picks out the best charities to... He's got a formula.
He evaluates how much a charity actually raises versus how much they spend on administrative costs and what's the number value of good they're actually doing.
Risk assessment for charity.
Yeah. And I don't know.
That guy's a little sketch also.
Yeah.
And, like, he met Theodosia at the ballet, and then the next day ran into her again and had no idea who she was.
Yeah, but to be fair, I could run into her.
But the next day? Also, if you didn't know who I was, if you ran into me, I would be very hurt.
Okay, yes. Bad example. I didn't recognize a family that day. I'll put it that way.
Oh, boy.
I hadn't seen her in a couple of years, but, yeah. Thing is, Bragg and Sawyer are both rich. What do they have need of a painting and 5 gold rings?
That doesn't always matter. Rich people are greedy.
Yeah. But it seems if they're looking to gain from her divvying up her wealth and donating to a bunch of charities, why would you take the chance on a painting and 5 gold rings that would A, put suspicion on you, and B, depending on how she had things set up before you stabbed her in the neck with a hypodermic needle, you don't know if she was just going to announce it and then take care of the paperwork later, or if she had already taken care of the paperwork so that you were definitely going to get this money for your charity, and then killing her wouldn't matter. Like, why would you take that chance?
But who cares about money for the charity when you can have money for yourself?
Because you can embezzle from a charity. You're going to get less time for embezzlement than you are for murder. It's just balanced probability and statistical chance of being caught. So what do you want? Embezzle some money, hide it really good, and then go to prison for a couple of years and come out and live in the Bahamas?
Well, criminals aren't always thinking rationally about those types of things.
That's the thing. I get too deep into the motive and why would they do this.
Yes. You're really overthinking this.
Yes, I know. I like this psychological element of why are people doing what they're doing, and what's the motive, and why are serial killers, or why are sociopaths, or why are annoying tea ladies always poking their nose into somebody else's business, rather than necessarily the meat and potatoes of the mystery.
Don't you mean tea mavens?
Sorry, tea mavens, whatever the heck a maven is. Maven the Raven.
We're gonna have to Google that one later so we know what it means.
Yeah. But yeah, right now Wade is at the top of my list because he's got the most to gain. Well, him and Pauline. So.
What about the art dealer guy who had the office upstairs from the...
Yeah, he's dodgy, but I think he's probably in on the counterfeit ring with the other two.
Okay.
I'm writing my own subplot.
You totally are.
To make it more interesting.
You're living in a fantasy world where this book is concerned.
I've gotten to the point where I don't care about the murder mystery. I've got my own art counterfeit ring going on here.
I'm curious to see what happens in the next half of the book with the counterfeit ring.
No, I'm sure everyone's going to be caught and go to prison.
Oh, yeah.
See, that, I don't know, to me that would be much better plot-wise.
Okay.
Well,
You're probably right. You're probably right, but that's not the point of this book.
No. I don't know. The art dealer guy, she writes him as being a bit dodgy because he won't give her a straight answer about anything. But honestly, the guy works with rich people and art collectors. And if I was a rich art collector, I wouldn't want my art dealer talking to other people about it, because if that rich guy over there just is a bit of a interesting fellow who doesn't like me very much, he could come and buy the painting that I want right out from under me. Like, I think the caginess is part of the job.
Part of the job, yeah. You could be right about that. You could be wrong.
I could be.
Nobody knows.
He would be the most likely to be an accomplice, because you could actually get money for
That's true, because he would know what to do with it.
Exactly. But,
yeah. That's a good point.
I think we've probably covered the book enough now. My wild theories about art forgery.
Yes.
But, I don't know, any last thoughts, Janine, that aren't about rewriting the book?
Your opinions make me want to cry. No, I'm
sorry.
just kidding. I knew that this would be one where you would have strong opinions about.
I am enjoying reading it, but I'm not going to lie, it's a bit of a hate read.
And that's totally fine.
It's keeping me entertained. The pacing and stuff is excellent.
Yeah.
But...
Well, it's the thing. It does move along quickly.
Yeah, I'm having more trouble with the nitty-gritty details of it. Like...
Yeah. But it's not a long book.
No, not at all.
If you are looking for something that is fluffy, an easy read.
Thing is, too, like, it's not, like, bash you over the head Christmas.
No, that's true also.
That's the thing I kind of appreciate about it. Like, there's the different tea parties, or there's mention of decorations, but there's not, like, we're all going out and singing carols together in peace and love and joy.
Oh, well, you're only halfway through, so...
Don't remind me. But, like, so far, it's not overtly Christmassy. It's like, we have some decorations, there's a market, and we bought a tree that's too big. So
yeah, that whole tree situation to me was a little bit odd, but
also Smokey just like bursting in.
Yeah.
And like, oh, little girls are screaming and the ballet dancers are falling over and blah, and it's like, it's one guy in a leather jacket. Stop clutching your pearls.
He burst in to the teeny tiny tea room.
And then he opened the door.
You have to remember, these are Southern women.
Who have never seen a guy in a leather jacket.
Well, they're so
delicate in their
delicate, that's the word I was looking for. Yes.
Yes, we couldn't possibly shock them at all. Never mind the fact that one of their grand dames has been murdered, and we can't take any more shock.
Oh.
Sorry, I'll stop making fun of the book.
It's okay.
It's not bad, it's just, I want it to be more than what it is.
Yeah.
And I need to lower my expectations and recognize the fact there's probably not a really fun
way lower.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I look forward to hearing your thoughts on the second half of the book. I'm not gonna lie.
It'll be interesting. Mm-hmm. I have a feeling I'm gonna be disappointed. I really hope that it's not Smokey, because I'll be very disappointed if they just went for the obvious guy. Like, to be fair, if it was Pauline, it's sort of the butler did it. But at least there's more of a point and a little less of the prejudice going on there. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. Anyway, any last thoughts, Janine, other than I need to lower my expectations?
Lower your expectations. I want to hear your thoughts on the next half. I think that's all I have.
Stop tearing apart the books I like.
No, I knew before we read this one that you would have opinions about this book. Mm-hmm. And I know that I have opinions about it. That doesn't mean I don't like reading them, but...
It's not that I'm not enjoying reading it. I am enjoying reading it. It's just...
You have a lot of strong opinions.
I like a mystery where there is more than one thing going on, mm-hmm. and that's got a little bit more realism than this one has.
You're not likely to read another book like this. I would guess.
Not from this series.
Whereas I will continue to read all of them.
Yeah.
Because I can't stop.
Thing is, I would consider picking up a different series, possibly by a different author. There's some of the more baking ones that...
Mm-hmm.
Some of them incorporate a bit more of a fantasy sci-fi element to it.
Oh, okay.
Where it's like baking and murder and vampires. Mm-hmm. Those I'd consider a bit more, just because they do have that something else going on. It's not so flat. It's not so one-dimensional.
Yeah. Well, I will...
Which is fine, but I don't know. Just like something a bit more involved, I guess.
I will tell you, do not read Joanne Fluke's Hannah Swenson series.
Okay.
That one is the worst.
Is that the up-down one?
Yes. The inconsistent. One day, one page, the phone was ringing. Oh, that must be my husband. And on the next page, I wonder if my husband's got to where he's going yet.
You should have asked him when you were on the phone with him 3 seconds ago.
He was calling from the hotel.
Oh, okay.
But then the next page, she didn't know if he had arrived.
Does she have an editor?
That's what I'm saying. Have I read every single one of the books in that series? Absolutely.
You need to confirm that they're all awful.
Well, they just seem to be... The more she writes, the worse they...
There is some authors where that does seem to happen. Like, there's some where it's like... Is your author or your editor afraid to tell you no, or afraid to actually edit this down into something good?
Yeah, I don't know. And so...
Like, it kind of feels like the more books they write... I shouldn't say with all of them, because it's definitely not with all of them, but with some of them, the more books they write, the worse they get, because the bigger their name gets, the more people are afraid to tell them no and afraid to criticize them.
Maybe. But, like, the recipes in that book, it always talks about, with your impeccably clean hands... It says that in almost every recipe, and I'm like...
I'll just go dunk them in boiling alcohol for a minute.
Isn't that a given that you're going to have clean hands?
I certainly hope so.
And why do you have to say impeccably clean?
Yeah.
Like, do I need to scrub for, like, 5 minutes? Like, I'm going into surgery? or what is it? And she always, the main character calls her mom mother, and she always is, like, looking to her for confirmation. Like, right, mother? And
see, that's the thing that gets me with these books. A lot of the relationships are very unhealthy.
I should have picked one of those ones, because there are a lot of in that series.
Like, Theodosia and Riley, I'm going, this is so toxic, what are you doing?
Well, her relationships are...
Well, it's the boyfriend du jour.
Yep, yeah. But no, so I would suggest you do not pick up that series.
I will make a note of that.
The rest of you can pick up that series, but for Jess, it's a no.
You know me well enough to know that it would just raise my blood pressure, and then you'd have to hear about it for the next 3 hours.
Yes. Yep.
So.
Yeah, and it is probably not my favorite series, but I have to read every book because I just do. I don't know why. Can't help myself.
There's some where it's like, I wonder if this one's going to be as bad as the previous one. I have to read it and find out.
Partly it's for the recipes, though, too.
You could just read a cookbook.
I could. Yep.
To be fair, some of the recipes in this book sound very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think that's all we have. And then I'm going to go read the next half and probably be horribly disappointed by the lack of forgery involved. So.
Spoiler alert, yes.
Yeah, great. I was so hoping for that. Anyway, see you next time.
And we're back with part 2 of Twisted Tea Christmas. So, I can tell by your face already that you have some thoughts.
I have thoughts.
So, why don't you share those thoughts with us?
I really, really hate the main character.
So you will not be reading any more from this series.
And not if she's this way in every single book.
Oh, no, it's the basic same setup in every book.
Okay. She is just horrible at being a detective, if that's what she's calling it. Like, this is what book in the series?
23? Yes, 23.
So presumably she solved 22 murders before this?
Yes, she has.
That's a miracle. This woman can't investigate her way out of a box.
Well, she's done it 23 times.
No. I refuse to believe that. The basic plot of the book is relatively thin. The basic character development is relatively thin. That being said, if you can get over the fact that the main character is a horrible human being, it's fine. I did find the constant talk of food slightly annoying, because... Oh, I shouldn't say constant. She talks more about the food and the decorations and the tea, which the tea I expect, more than she does the murders. Like...
Well, it is her job,
yes.
in her defense.
She should be talking about the tea and the food and the decorations, yes, and staying completely and totally out of the murders, because she's terrible at them. Like, halfway through the book, and they finally start wondering at the motive, other than just robbery. Come on.
Mm-hmm.
Like...
Now, I would like to point out that this author also writes 3 other series. and cranks out at least one of these a year, sometimes two. So I think your expectations were perhaps a little high on what the quality of this book would be.
Yeah. I have read other cozy mysteries, though, that weren't this bad.
Okay.
Yeah. Granted, there's generally some element of fantasy or sci-fi in them. Which does make them more tolerable.
That's a little different from your regular cozy mystery.
Yeah. But it was a murder mystery where she finds a vampire in her shed, so it was more
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, no vampires here. I did like the parade of boats.
The parade of boats thing, I'm like, that's cool. Does
I
that
know.
actually happen? I want to see it.
I know. That's exactly what I was thinking too.
Their grand illumination is...
I was a little puzzled by that.
Welcome.
Like, the illumination, was it just that they lit up the walk?
Yeah, I know. I'm like,
couldn't.
are you just telling me that this is a tree lighting ceremony with a $10 name?
Yeah.
Like,
I don't...
from what I can tell, the main illumination was along the walkway.
There was lights.
And they had some twinkle lights inside.
Yeah. And then they had some actors, but that had nothing to do with illuminating.
No,
So,
that was
I know.
Queen Victoria and Prince Albert. Like,
I was puzzled by the grand illumination also.
it seemed very... I don't think I can use that word on a podcast, to say.
Yeah.
Like, for that being their big event, I'm like, seriously? That's kind of... Have the big T. Have the historical reenactment, fine. But don't call it a grand illumination.
Yes.
When there's no illuminating happening.
Yes.
The Illuminati are very disappointed with you.
Call it a Victorian tea.
Exactly.
That's all you need to
A
do.
historical reenactment. A Christmas luncheon. Like, come up with a different name because you're not doing any lights. And, like, this was during the day. Was it
Yes,
not?
I think it
Where I'm
was.
like, you're not illuminating anything. The sun is doing that.
I know. That part, I did not pick up on that the first time I read the book, but this time I was like, what the heck
Yeah.
is happening? There's...
When they were talking about it, I assumed this was, like, an after dark kind of a thing, where it's like, you know, you got your... more the period historical Victorian Christmas reenactment things, where you've got, you know, your top hats and whatnot. Not during the day when your illuminating is not even happening.
Yeah.
Like,
I think it was maybe later in the day, so maybe it was...
it seemed like it was about late
Dusk-ish.
afternoon, but, like, not enough that I think illumination was warranted at any point in the description title or as a key to attending the event.
Yeah, although it does get darker earlier in the south, I think.
Yeah.
So maybe... I don't know.
I still think... Like, even if it is pitch black and it's dark, it's evening, it's night. The reality is...
It's not too grand.
It's not too grand, and you basically got some lanterns along a path, and maybe some twinkle lights inside. I'd pretty much have that irregardless. I mean, heck, our reading garden has that, and I'm not calling it a grand illumination.
You should. Come for the unveiling of our grand illumination.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I will say, personally, I don't like the character of Tidwell.
Well, yes,
He's the head detective. He bothers me.
He is one of those where he seems both incompetent and like his incompetence might be a front because he's actually in crimes himself.
That's what it's going to be at the end.
Oh, I hope
The last
so.
book.
That would be...
It was all a front.
It's all a front. He's actually a criminal, and she's actually a serial killer. That would make the entire series so much better.
They've been in cahoots the entire time. Yeah.
You know, there's actually a lot of argument for that being the final. She does a lot of suspicious things. The amount of breaking and entering she does.
I know. I know.
The one time she's telling him about, when she went to Smokey's house and broke in. And she's telling Tidwell about it, and he's going, yeah, that's actually a crime. Oh, well, just don't do it again. What?
I know. I know.
Like, if somebody told a local detective about breaking into my house, I would want some kind of response that isn't just like, well, don't let it happen again.
Don't do it again.
Like,
I know. See, that's the thing about these books, is that they frustrate me to no end, but I cannot stop reading them. And I don't know why, but the more I read, the more frustrated I get.
it's like watching a train wreck.
Because it's the same thing every time, and she is so nosy and just, like, stay out of it. And that's illegal, and why are you doing that? But I just cannot stop reading them.
Well, I've read some of these that aren't quite so, let's break the law. Like, the law applies to everybody but her.
Yeah.
And that's the part that gets me.
It's a double standard.
And she is not a nice person. Her and, what's her little sidekick? Drayton, are snarky about the art dealer not attending the dead lady's funeral.
Yeah. I'm like,
They're
why
like,
would...
well, couldn't he take time off his day? Like, she bought a really expensive painting from him. Like, he couldn't even come to the funeral? Do you go to the funeral of everybody who's ever bought a car from you? No.
Only if you have a relationship with that person.
I don't go to the funeral of everybody that's checked out a book. Like...
You would do nothing but go to funerals.
I do nothing but go to funerals all day. Like, and I can't eat that many sandwiches. They don't understand that some people just have a business with clients.
Yes.
And that doesn't mean you
Just because...
attend their funerals or their parties or you don't have a relationship with them necessarily.
No.
Or you have a business relationship with them. You don't need to go getting all snarky about that.
Just because she can leave her business willy-nilly whenever she wants to.
I feel bad
Apparently.
for Holly. That poor Holly, I hope she's making at least $40 an hour because, my word, the amount that she gets stuck with.
Yeah.
Another thing about the Grand Loop. 70 people, 75 people, and Holly's the only one cooking?
Mm-hmm. She's Superwoman. That's how she's portrayed in these books.
Get her a sidekick at least.
And no, she can do everything.
Like,
She can do it all.
and all the plates go out at the same time?
How does that work?
No way that I can figure. I've worked in food service. That's not how it works. There's generally more than one person.
No arguments for me. I'll probably not argue with any of your negative facts, but I still love these books.
You're still gonna read the next one.
Still gonna read the next one.
Oh, yeah. No, she's not good at her job. And she's not good at the detective thing. She really needs to stop.
She's a little too overly confident.
Well, she doesn't investigate properly. Like, she calls a museum to see if any of their Renoirs? Yes, pronounced that correctly this time. If any of their Renoirs are missing or have been stolen, or if they are aware of any Renoirs that have been stolen in the last 5 years, roughly.
Mm-hmm.
And the museum basically tells her, yeah, there was one 2 or 3 years ago. If you Google it, it should come up. If I'm looking for a stolen painting and I think it might be linked to other stolen paintings, first thing I'm doing is Googling it.
Yeah.
Like, and this was several days into the investigation. Seriously? You can't Google and go, oh, maybe this is what I'm talking about. And, like, she found it seconds later.
Yeah.
Not that it did any good, because she spends all her time chasing after things that do any good.
I get the sense that they're not very tech savvy.
I get the sense you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then she breaks and enters again. This time into art dealers' dudes. I'm bad with names for the record, so everybody gets nicknames. The art dealer's country home?
Mm-hmm.
Manor? House?
Plantation.
Plantation, that's the word.
Wolf Knapp is his name.
Wolf Knapp, right.
Oh, he had a first name, but Wolf Knapp is the last.
Wolf napping. What an excellent crime. Incidentally, Wolf Knapp was found by dogs. They broke into his house, or his property, poked around, and then didn't find anything until the dogs found him buried, with apparently still his hand sticking up, which indicates a terrible job of burying.
Yes.
Like, put in a little bit more effort. You can tuck the hand down or something. It's not like, come on, people.
One of our neighbors has, for Halloween, it's close to Halloween now, when we're recording this, they have heads and hands sticking out of the ground.
Mm.
And, like, they're, like, creepy looking heads, and then the hands sticking out beside. And that's just what I was thinking of when you were. And then they have, like, I think there's 3 of them, and they have, like, red lights in a circle around them. It's kind of gross looking, but
Some people go all out for Halloween.
yeah. But that's what I'm envisioning now. A creepy head and 2 hands sticking out of the. You can't see what I'm doing, listeners, but anyway.
I'm sure they could imagine. Typical horror movie pose. But then, like, she calls Tidwell, and then is just, like, cagey about the fact that she's found a dead guy.
Yeah.
Like,
Because she's.
Are you calling me for anything serious? Yeah, well, I think I am. Well, what are you calling me for? Well, you don't have to behave that way about it. Well, is this a life or death situation? Sort of. Well, what happened? Well, it's about Wolfknapp. What about Wolfknapp? Well, he's dead. You should bring the coroner. I'm sorry, you open with, hi, this is Theodosia. I found a dead guy. And then proceed with details.
Yes.
Like,
yeah.
if you directly call the chief of police at all. What about 911?
Yeah, no. She's got his direct line, so of course she's going to phone him. They're like this.
2 birds and a mule's tail. Like, it's just,
I know. It's get your
Bad
nose,
investigators.
get your nose out of where it doesn't belong.
Yeah. And then, it's not like Tidwell's any better, Tidwell's pretty incompetent, so I can kind of understand why she's stepping up. But it's still, like, epically incompetent.
No, but he's a really good detective. That's what they say about him in the books.
What, did he find his nose?
Got your
Oh,
nose.
look, it's there. It's somebody else's business.
I got your nose. Sorry.
But, like, I might be wrong about this, but it didn't seem like the cops knew what the missing painting looked like until she showed them a picture of it. Because he said something along the lines of, oh, is that what it looks like? Do you not know what the missing painting looks like? For crying out loud.
And, like, if it was, like, a small...
If it was unknown artist, sure, but it's a Renoir.
But also, like, a small town where they're not used to having murders. But this is Charleston, which is, like, a decently sized city.
And they have access to Google.
Yes, they do.
Renoir.
Yeah.
Blue. Has a boat.
Even a small town access to Google.
Yeah.
But, like, this is a decently sized city.
Like,
so...
I expect better. And if you don't know what painting you're looking for in a mansion full of paintings, how do you know it wasn't just moved for the party?
Yeah.
And isn't actually in a different room? You wouldn't know. You don't know what you're looking for.
Exactly. That's true.
Oh, turns out the missing Renoir is actually just in the attic.
Yeah, we took it down for the party.
Sorry about the nationwide manhunt.
But also, I think you're overanalyzing this a little too much.
That is what I do. That is what I do very well. I overanalyze and pick things apart.
Yes. If anybody is thinking of reading this book, I think the intent of the work is to be a cozy, fluffy read.
But it's wrong. It's inaccurate.
If you
there's better ones out there. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. If you're not so hung up on all the tiny details like some people, you will probably enjoy this book.
I've got another about 10 tiny details.
Oh my
here.
goodness. We're going to be here for hours.
Some of them are quick.
I'm kidding.
The author describes the reporter as wearing evil-looking leather boots.
I missed that.
I'm going, they're leather boots. What, does she have horns on them or something?
Pointy toes.
It must be. But that just stood out to me. Where I'm like,
there's a face on the top.
Evil-looking boots.
I missed that. There were some details I skimmed over.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie.
I think it would be more enjoyable if I skimmed more and read less.
But then you miss things like evil-looking boots.
True. I'm pretty sure that would have stood out here regardless. And then there's a comment about redecorating every 5 seconds because, oh my word, can you just stop with... How big is your storage room for decorations? Do you rent them? Literally, what are your processes? I'd like to know.
Yeah, and they have a different tea set for everything, or like China sets.
That's the thing, like, the trees, seasonal Christmas stuff, I, to a point, get, because something like your basic pine garland, you can use that in 15 different ways and make it look 15 different things with a few small differences. But full tea sets?
Yeah.
Like, different China every time?
I've often wondered about that when I've read these books.
Like,
because they do a lot of these
theme
teas.
Rent from somewhere? Because that'd be the most feasible option. But, like, it just takes you out of it.
Yeah.
And then 6 dogs show up.
Yeah, I know.
The friend, or...
Delaney.
Sure. Are they friends? They don't seem like friends.
They're frenemies.
The frenemies shows
For lack
up.
of a better term.
With 6 dogs that she just dumps on her.
Mm-hmm.
I love dogs. But if somebody showed up at my house with 6 dogs when I already have a dog, I would say, go find somewhere else. I will take a dog. I might take 2 dogs. I would not take all 6 dogs.
Well, Delaney didn't give her much choice. She's kind of pushy, Delaney. She's also not my favorite.
No, but... Really? You couldn't find anybody else? And there's the element of, you have the 6 dogs. You decided to take the 6 dogs from wherever they are. Those 6 dogs are your responsibility.
Yeah, deal with them.
Yeah.
Now, to be fair, the dogs did save her life.
A dog saved her life.
Okay.
1 dog. That would have been the dog I would have kept.
But how would you have known that that was the dog that was going to save her life?
Because he's massive.
So you would keep the massive one?
I'd keep the massive one. I'd keep like a massive one and a teeny tiny one. Because it would amuse me. And then I put the teeny tiny one on top of the massive one and ride around the house. See, there's always a plan. Always a plan.
Mm-hmm.
But, like...
Yeah, and then she has, like, a dog walker nanny thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's like, oh, haha, we'll have to tell her that she has to deal with all these dogs. And I'm like, you can't just... No.
No. Like, and plus, getting into it way too deeply, you don't just dump a bunch of strange dogs together. That doesn't work.
No.
You do not just dump a bunch of strange dogs and then go, okay, guys, the house is yours, bye. Like,
I know.
Not unless you want no furniture left.
Leaves them there.
And possibly missing a dog or two.
She just leaves them there. That whole dog thing was...
Her approach to dog ownership is faulty, and she should not have pets. Maybe a goldfish can be authorized, but no pets beyond that.
See, I just, like... Aside from the dog saving her life at the end, those dogs were useless to the story.
Yeah.
It was totally unnecessary.
Completely and totally.
In my opinion. Also, I'm not a dog lover, so, like, when I'm on social media and people are posting about their pets, I'm like, don't care, don't care, don't care.
Yes, I don't do, like, pretty much anything on social media because I just couldn't care less. But if I am on social media, the dog ones are the only ones
Those are the ones you're looking at. Those are the ones I'm scrolling past.
I don't care about your baby. I don't care about your life. Oh, you have a dog. I'll take the dog. There needs to be more dog in your post.
I'm the opposite.
I should do that. Just anytime anybody with a dog posts a picture of anything where there's no dog in it, just comment, where's the dog? I don't see the dog. We need more dog. I'm pretty sure they're getting blocked pretty quick.
Well, it depends who posts you're commenting on.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, another note about the author. The writing style, I should say. Every word that's a noise is capitalized. All caps.
Oh.
That irks me.
Maybe that was just your...
Well, the thing is, when you're reading it, and you're going along, it's like, we're serving tea, there's scones, oh dear. And everything's going merrily fine. And then you read, like, bang, bang, all in caps, exclamation marks. You go, okay, who's been shot? No, just somebody knocking on the door. Like, it unnecessarily adds tension to a scene where there isn't any.
I think that must have been your copy.
That could be.
Because I don't see that in here. In my...
No, I was reading the ebook copy, so I don't know if that's different in terms of some of the formatting, but it was driving me a little bit crazy because there's like, bang, bang, and I go, ooh, somebody got shot, sweet. In that something actually happened. And it's like, no, it's just a guy knocking on the door, where it's just not my favorite writing style.
Don't be such a curmudgeon.
Me?
Not you. I'm sorry, I was reading a book. That word jumped out at me.
It's not one you see often.
Nope. And your thoughts on the killer?
Rest of the story?
The rest of the story.
Boringly predictable. They bounce around accusing everybody.
Yes.
Like, the nephew and the housekeeper of 22 years have tea together. And she's going, why are they having tea together?
Yeah.
They must be up to something.
They must be friends.
It could be that the person who took care of the house for 22 years has some acquaintance with the nephew.
It's possible.
Like, that's not the farthest fetched thing in the world. Maybe she made him cookies once.
Yeah.
You never know. Like, she sees everything as suspicious.
She's so suspicious of it. Yeah.
And I mean, I think everybody in a book is guilty until proven innocent. But even I'm not going, oh, two people together. They must be plotting. Like, that's not how it works. Also, they follow Pauline in a car, tailing her for... Well, they're complaining about how long it's taking. So, a while. Mm-hmm. See a sign for a casino and goes, oh, she must be gambling. And then turn around and leave.
Yeah, I know. I was like, what kind of tale is that?
Like, that's like me following you to Winnipeg, seeing a Walmart and going, oh, that must be where she's going. Bye.
Because I have a problem with going to Walmart a lot.
I don't know. But, like, there's no... Let's follow her into the casino lot or make sure she turns in. Or...
Is she meeting somebody there? Is she making some backroom deals? Is she selling a painting?
You don't even know that she went to the casino or anywhere else in that town. Because they just see a casino sign and turn around. Well, that's one more mystery solved.
I know.
There's just some basics like that where I'm like... You could have just put in a line saying, they watched her turn into the lot, and then turned around and left. Like, one sentence
Yes.
is all you needed to make that scene less ridiculous.
But even then, sorry, you don't know what's happening when she
No.
goes into the building.
No.
Like,
You have no idea. It's just shabby, poor investigative work. Completely and totally.
well, it's because her true calling is Team Maven, not detective.
Really? Also, Pauline. She apparently didn't look Pauline up. She didn't look her up on Facebook or anything like that in this entire investigation until, like, the second last chapter. And then it turns out Pauline is an art major. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a bit more suspicious, don't you think? Like,
Yep.
you could have solved this mystery in about a day if you just done it in the right order.
Well, she's not you, Jess.
I know. I should start helping the police. I'm sure they'd love it.
See? Now you're going to be a cozy mystery character in your life.
Does it turn out I'm a serial killer at the end?
Well, only you can know that.
True. You never know.
Next time there's a murder in Winkler.
Don't look at me. Oh, don't incriminate me like that.
No, I'm saying you're going to be right on it.
Yeah. Anywho, the final whodunit.
Did you call it or did you call it?
I was really hoping I hadn't called it, because that would have been a redeeming quality. But I did.
You did.
From, like, the first time I met the guy, read the guy, whatever.
Encountered
Encountered the gentleman, yes. Who had an encounter. An encounter of another kind. It's the boyfriend, for the record. Wade, yes. And Pauline apparently didn't know anything about it. And Wade, frankly, doesn't have much of a reason as to why he did it.
Because he's a tool.
That seems to be the only thing. Like, he should have had the gambling debt. That would have been more interesting. Pauline went to the casino to pay off his gambling debt. See, that's a plot. There you go. Feel free to use that, Laura Childs. Like, it was just kind of like she got to her word count and went, well, I gotta pick one of these since everybody's been suspicious all along. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo, Wade.
Yeah.
Like, there wasn't a whole lot of anything.
I don't know, like, if I would have made him the murderer in the end. Like, I think even Pauline would have been a better choice.
Pauline would have been a better choice. Or the housekeeper of 22 years.
Yeah.
That would have been a good one. She was in helping with the party stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But, no. And then when he's arrested, I mean, the big dog bites his arm, and he falls and breaks his hip or something like that. He fell anyway. And then they arrest him, and then she and the EMT are threatening him to try and get a confession out of him.
Yeah, that's totally...
Where is Tidwell? You need to confess to the right people if you're going to confess. If I tell you I've killed somebody, that doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
Unless you go to the cops. And then I still have to confess to them, or they have to find proof.
Exactly.
And that EMT should lose his job.
Mm-hmm.
You don't, like, oh, look, a random woman. I'll help her threaten somebody. Like,
I know.
They were threatening to just pick a drug and inject him with it and see what happened.
Yeah.
Like,
that part was...
What?
Yeah. That part was very sketchy.
Not to mention, the dude is suffering from a fairly severe dog bite on his wrist with multiple broken bones. I'm pretty sure that's a confession under duress, and he could argue he was not of sound mind and would say anything in order to actually get the EMT's job.
Yeah, exactly. That would not be admissible.
It is not a satisfactory conclusion.
You never, in these books, you never get the trial or the sentencing or any of, like...
Because there's, like, 22 that never made it to trial. Because all of the proof was circumstantial. Yeah.
So, I mean, there is that also.
She should have done a companion series where it's a lawyer, cozy lawyer mysteries, defending the criminals or whatever, actually trying the cases of this detective.
I like that.
I should be an editor for cozy mysteries.
You should. I like that a lot. You should send her that idea.
Yeah.
Do it.
Because that would be... I'd find that interesting.
I would too. What if there's written like this one?
I still find it more interesting.
Okay then. I do think that is a good idea. I also like a good lawyer story. So
Yeah.
you know.
I think that's all my ranting. Do you have any thoughts?
Well, my only thought, I want to go to Charleston at Christmas time.
I want to see the boats.
I want to see the boats.
I like boats.
I have been to Charleston. I wished that I could go to this tea shop and see it for real.
It sounds interesting. I would just want the people not there. Holly can stay. I'll hire somebody to help her out because she seems like she needs it. But Theodosia and
Drayton.
I can't remember that guy's name to save my life. Can be elsewhere.
Well, I wish that this was a real place so that I could go there. But Charleston is a very lovely city. Lots of big old houses, whatnot.
It always seems like one that's got quite a bit of character and history to it.
It does. I'm going to continue to read these books, even though you essentially trashed them.
I'm sorry.
It's fine. I will try not to think of you when I'm reading them.
Sorry, I don't want to ruin it for anybody. I get into the little details and the mystery of it, and I overanalyze things very much.
For me, it's just like a cozy weekend read that doesn't take a lot of thought or effort, and it's just kind of relaxing. Makes me want to drink tea, have a fire, snowstorm outside.
Yeah, that's my crime thriller. True crime.
That's a nice cozy day for you.
I was like, oh, snowstorm, cup of tea.
Serial killers.
Serial killers. It's too cold. They can't get to me. It's fine.
So if you do read this book, there are recipes at the back.
Those I found interesting.
Which I like. That's one thing I like about these cozy mysteries that are about food.
Mm-hmm.
The recipes are always interesting. There's also tips on how to throw a themed tea party.
That I didn't see.
Maybe yours didn't have that. These ones
always
always
book again. So
the hard copies of the books. Tea time tips from Laura Childs. So there is a little paragraph on that, and then also tea resources like tea magazines.
Yes, I would like to point out that there is on my ebook copy, there's 5 pages of tea resources, and no murder, mystery, or art resources.
So,
oh yes, I see the tea tips now.
There is tea magazines, tea plantations, which we also did when we went to Charleston. We went to a tea plantation.
Oh, cool.
Which was really cool. And my husband, being a farmer, was something that was interesting for both of us. Because it was like a tea farm. Tea.
Yeah.
So there's always that, which is kind of interesting. Oh, and also visiting Charleston. Some things to do when you...
Is the boat thing on the list?
No.
Oh, that had to be the one thing she actually made up. Darn it.
Well, it doesn't mean that doesn't exist. These
True.
are just like there's boat tours, ghost tours.
The ghost boat tour. I got wet with that one.
Like restaurants and hotels and things like that. So it's not specifically activity.
I will say the tea, well-researched. The setting, relatively well-researched. She gets an A in terms of setting and that kind of thing. She gets an F in terms of mystery. Another A in terms of recipes, because I do want to try the pork chops with apples.
Yes, I know.
That sounded delicious.
It did sound good. I know. That's what I like about these books, is reading the recipes also. So that's a little bonus at the end of the book. So Laura Childs, who wrote this book, also writes the Scrapbook Mysteries, Cackleberry Club Mysteries, and Afton Tangler Thrillers. So if you like her work, something else to check out.
What's the last one?
Afton Tangler.
Is that like knitting, or what's the theme there?
I think that's the character.
Oh.
I think that's a name.
I don't know what name resource she uses, but she's got some interesting.
She has interesting names.
Yes.
Wonder if they're Southern. Like Drusilla and Delaney and Drayton. Theodosia. That's always how I want to say it in my head.
But of course, Theodosia. Theodosia pulled out of all the tea out of the Boston Harbor and made a business of it. What an entrepreneurial spirit Theodosia has.
Such a good detective. So also, Laura Childs is a pseudonym for Jerry Schmidt, which I did not know. And I have now read 23 books of hers.
By Jerry Schmidt.
And yes. And finally...
I can understand why she would change that name.
Yes. Tea Time magazine named Laura Childs to their list of 15 most influential people in the tea industry, which I thought was sort of interesting because, I mean, what is her influence?
Okay, I will say, I was curious about some of the tea.
Okay.
And I do not like tea. So, yes, I would count her as influential in the tea industry in that she made a tea hater curious about tea.
She talks about different teas in each book, so there's always something different. So yes, there is that.
Yeah.
So, anyways, some interesting facts for you. So to sum up, this was a no from Jess.
You may continue reading the series. I will not be continuing reading the series.
Yep.
It may have been better if I wasn't reading it and making notes and stuff like that as I went along. I most definitely read mysteries more for the mystery aspect than I do for the cozy setting aspect. And as a result, it drives me a little bit crazy when the mystery part isn't as good as it could be. But I will say, the cozy setting part was well done. So, depending what you're looking for.
Yep.
If you're looking for a well-written mystery, this is not the book for you. If you're looking for more of an ambiance and atmosphere, yeah, it's good.
I agree. That sums it up pretty well, I think.
Well, in that case, we're going to have to find a different cozy mystery to read at some point.
Yeah.
That I like.
You'll have to... We'll read your cozy mystery choice next time.
Yeah.
You did tell me to pick one, so I did.
Yes.
So.
To be fair, I probably would have liked it better if it wasn't Christmas.
Well...
They went a little too hard on the decorating, like every 5 seconds.
Yeah.
And I get that was because it was Christmas, but that was one of the things driving me crazy, so.
I could have chosen Joanne Fluke.
True. We won't be doing those.
Those ones are worse. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, that was that. We have now read that. I have read 2 Christmas books this year, which is about 3 more than I normally do. So, I will read anti-Christmas books, so balances out.
So Jess has done her Christmas reading for the year.
Yes, and it's not even the end of October. So,
woohoo!
yeah.
Cross that off the list.
Yeah. And with that, yeah, that's the book for today. If you guys have any suggestions or anything like that, leave it in the comments, and we'll read the books that you like. Fair warning, I mean, we might not like the book, so enter at your own risk. But
by we, she means she.
I like some books. I get too into books, which is why I'm a librarian.
Overanalyzes.
Yes, very much so.
Yep.
But yeah, have a good day, everybody.
See ya. So that's our show for this week. Thank you all for listening.
And thank you to our editor, Linda, for editing this into a cohesive mess.
And we'll see you next time. Reminder that all of the content here is our personal opinions.
Except for the facts. Facts are facts.